Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and first thing I want to do is say that this isn't actually my footage. This is actually from a YouTuber called TVR, or Tweet Vita Review, and I haven't asked for his permission to use this footage, but I hope the shout out will be enough, because frankly, I couldn't bring myself to record this game. For multiple reasons. We'll get to why. They did send me a review code of this, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this game looked interesting. I asked for the review code because I thought to myself, you know what, this might not be so bad. Well, I've been wrong before and I'm wrong again. So this is a adventure game based around the events in the Ukraine around 2014, and basically it's like a wartime story. Something burns or something dies every other day. You've lost your husband and you have to go hunt him down. And it's all done in this weird hand-drawn style. And it's just all that little bit unsettling. But as soon as you get into the game, like the minute that you get into it, you realize there's problems. Some of the main problems include the following. If you pay very close attention to the video, although really it's not that hard to spot, and trust me, it's a lot easier when you're actually playing the game. But, I mean, it's got the whole hand-drawn style to it, right? I don't know if it's the hand-drawn style or if it's the game engine being wonky. And it can definitely be both. It can be one or the other. It could be both. I'm not sure. But basically, every couple of steps that you take, everything twitches. Twitches back and forth just a little bit. It's very easy to notice when I've got it blown up on my screen. It's not as easy to notice when you've got it on a Vita screen, but I gotta tell you, man, it is super noticeable, and it gave me a headache within 10 minutes. It does this all the time. Just this little stuttering forth every couple of steps. It's just, man, it legitimately gives me a really bad headache. I do not know who thought it would be a good idea to let it go out in this state. But they did, because they're dicks. The second thing is that it's a sometimes you presentation, which means that it performs terribly. In this case, it's mostly reserved for the loading screens, because the loading screens in this game are like 10 to 20 seconds long. Like, it's something ridiculous like that. It is really bad, and it makes getting anywhere a chore, not only because of your absolutely slow walking speed, but, well, because you have to wait 10 to 20 seconds in between everything. It's also not helped out by the fact that the map is kind of a pain in the ass to use. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's really poorly done. It's kind of hard to tell where you're going, and you kind of have to do this weird thing where you have to assume the direction you're facing, and it makes the map really difficult to read in general. So trying to find your way around is a bit of a pain in the ass. Of course, this is an adventure game, so you have to go around finding objects. And some of these objects can be surprisingly difficult to see. A lady asked me if I wanted some seeds. I didn't realize that actually appeared next to the character until I went away and came back a couple of times. I was like, can I press X on this object? And a lot of the objects in this game are like this. They barely stand out from the background. There are a couple that are really weird. Like, there's this one that... At the very beginning of the game, you have to go get a journal. And it is massive. It's really hard to miss. It just looks odd as a result. But other objects can just be sitting in the background and be very easy to not notice. Sometimes the game will tell you when you're standing on top of an object, but frankly, I don't trust this game to not hide objects in the background. Especially with backgrounds like this. The hand-drawn style is weird. Really weird. I'm not going to call it bad, but it definitely does feel more like a rough sketch of what the art really should have been. I don't know if that's what they were going for. Like, it's meant to be a really rough, like, first draft-ish sketch, and it ends up making it look like that it just needed a little bit more work put into it. Like, I appreciate the little touch they've got going where all the doors that you can walk through are just full of static. It's a nice little touch. There's a couple of other little touches like that. But I ended up having to look up a walkthrough for this game, and it turns out they've really cut down on the background art, at least for the Vita version. On the PC version, everything looks a lot more in-depth and detailed once you get outside, but when you're outside in this version, there's just like a couple of buildings and then just a black background and that's it. There is some sound in the game, and most of it's inaudible. There is some music, there are a couple of minor sound effects, but I wasn't able to hear most of them until I actually downloaded this video from TVR because they're really quiet on the default mix. They are legitimately really quiet. The only actual sound I was really able to hear from this game coming from the Vita speakers while I was playing it was the obnoxiously loud typewriter-ish sound of character text coming in all the time. And when you're standing trying to talk to one person, you end up talking to 3 people at once. It sounds like a cacophony of ear rape. It's really unpleasant. The game's controls are pretty simple. You press R to bring up the map, you press triangle to bring up your journal, and that keeps track of notable things people have said. And then there is a... I already said the map was crap. The journal I'll talk about in a minute. And the other thing is your inventory, but the inventory is really slow and laggy to navigate because, again, this is a sometimes you sort of thing, and that's just what they do. They end up being unoptimized pieces of crap. At least when you're, walking across the ground normally, it doesn't noticeably drop in performance, although I can't help but wonder if the hitching that happens every few seconds, it's much worse when you're moving in a scrolling background, and you'll see once you get outside in this footage, but man, it legitimately gives me a headache. I've got the footage on my screen right now. I have to keep my eyes closed because the little thing is just, it's really bad. It's legitimately one of the worst things I've ever seen. How did you know how to pick that up straight away? That really surprises me. I did not notice them at all. Yeah, the inventory is just really laggy. It takes ages for your button presses to be recognized once you're in the inventory. And so I'll come back to the journal now. So the journal is, it's obvious. It lists bits of speech that you need to go take care of. And they're kind of treated like quests, because if you go and take care of the thing that they've got listed, they will have little ticks in their portrait boxes, so you'll know that you've done what you're expected to do. However, some of these can be really confusing. The first one I picked up was off that lady telling you that, saying that, oh, you found a dead body, you should go talk to the cops. They're almost never open, but you should go try anyway. That's the only dialogue I managed to find that actually showed up in there. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to go straight to the police station. I need to go and see what they have to say. So I go to the police station, and there's no, static over the door saying that I can enter it. And I'm just wondering to myself, okay, what the hell do I do now? So I basically just had to wander around for 5 minutes until I found 2 people lying on the ground, and one person lying on the ground and one person saying, oh, I'll give you the thing that'll fix the person on the ground if you go and get me this other thing, which turned out to be the seeds that you need to pick up earlier, which I didn't see because this game's background art really doesn't differentiate the two. Hey. It's not great. Also, the localization isn't very good at all, because when you first go up to the lady in the hospital, she says something along the lines of, I want you to get me some seeds and I'll give you some ammonia. As in A-M-M-O-N-I-A. At least I'm pretty sure that's how it was spelled. I'm wondering, what the fuck do you need ammonia for? When you get it, it becomes an item in your inventory, and then the name in the inventory is Cure, which makes it incredibly obvious what it's meant to do, but it's just so unbelievably frustrating that I thought to myself, fuck this. This is legitimately one of the least well put together games that I have played in some time. It is horrendous. Legitimately horrendous. I don't know who convinced them that this was a good idea. Just this game in general, let alone porting it to the consoles. The stammering, the bad performance of the engine, the 10-second plus load times, the incredibly slow walk speed, the bad text, the really frustrating sound design, the weird just overall quality of the writing, and just man, what a terrible first impression. It's literally so bad that I had to go and get someone else's footage because I couldn't bring myself to play the game again to record it. Because I knew that once I started playing, I'd have to go and actually go back to a walkthrough or something like that. But no. No, I'm sorry. Like, the fancy art just doesn't do it for me, mainly due to the stammering. It's kind of neat, and it's clear to see where this game's 1 gigabyte of file size comes from, because that's got to be a lot of, like, individual animations they got going on that would take up a lot of space. And it is relatively clear on the Vita screen. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, but that's legitimately the only thing it's got going for it, and the rest of the game is horrendous. So, no. Don't. Please don't. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.